Have you ever thought about a nation that carved palaces right out of mountains? A people who laughed and said, "Who could possibly be stronger than us?" Yet, when the command came from the sky, their very palaces were buried beneath the earth. After Prophet Hud, another nation emerged. They lived between Yemen and Oman, in a region called Ahqaf. Their city was named Iram, the city of lofty pillars, a city that seemed to speak to the sky. Their bodies were strong like mountains, their height touched the clouds, and their pride seemed to tear through the heavens. They said, "We are the true inheritors of this land, and we will remain forever." Across the sands of Ahqaf, their settlements spread far and wide. When their horses galloped, the earth echoed. At night, the light of their lamps shone far into the distance, as if their city was a crown placed on the earth. In their assemblies and gatherings, they repeated one phrase again and again: "People like us will never be born again." Even their children would lift massive stones at a young age just to show their strength. And the elders would say with pride, "Our children can make mountains bend." The people of Ad had another strange belief. They thought the wind was their servant. Young men would stand in the middle of a valley, stretch out both arms, and say, "Look, the wind follows the command of our bodies." Old men in their gatherings would boast, "Our fathers and grandfathers could turn the direction of the wind. Who can stop us?" Whenever they saw a storm approaching from far away, they laughed and said, "The wind is with us. It will not strike us, only our enemies." But they had no idea that the coming wind had already become their greatest enemy. The people of Ad were not just tall. Their physical build was many times greater than ordinary humans. Even today, near riverbanks, between mountains, large footprints are sometimes found, leaving people amazed. The doors of their homes were so high that a horse and rider could enter straight inside. Their pots were carved from stone, so large that one pot could cook food for an entire family. Time passed. Their arrogance grew. Their pride grew. And then Allah sent a prophet, Hud. He said, "My people, worship Allah alone. You have no God besides Him." They replied, "Do you want us to abandon the religion of our fathers? We are strong. No one can defeat us." Hud warned them again and again, "I fear for you a punishment you cannot imagine." But when pride fills the heart, advice hits stone and breaks. Every day, Prophet Hud went to their markets, their palaces, and their doors to give his final call. Sometimes their leaders laughed and said, "Hud, if your words were true, our palaces would have collapsed long ago." Sometimes a child mocked his voice, and some people avoided him, afraid that God's fear might enter their hearts through his words. One day, Hud entered their assembly, where their chiefs sat on golden thrones. Hud said, "Look at the system of creation that Allah has made. Your strength is nothing." But their chiefs burst into laughter. "Enough of your small warnings. If punishment comes, we will stop it with our strength." A few days before the punishment, a strange scene took place in the valley of Ad. At night, a deep sound echoed in the sky. There was no thunder, no lightning, but it felt as if someone was calling from far away. The people of Ad said, "This is the voice of the mountains." Hud replied, "This is not a call of mercy. It is a warning." The next night, the earth shook slightly, not much, just enough to disturb the animals. The people laughed. "Even the earth fears our strength." They did not know this was the earth's final protest. Then Allah's decree arrived. First came drought. For 3 years, not a single drop of rain fell. Rivers dried up, springs disappeared. The earth became like stone. People stared at the sky, waiting for rain, but the answer from above was silence. In the first year, they said, "This is a small matter. We are strong." In the second year, thirst dried their tongues. Empty jars were smashed against the walls. Animals fell to the ground from thirst. By the third year, all the laughter, pride, and voices that once challenged the sky had disappeared from the land of Ad. When the people came to Hud, he did not cry. He simply said, "Now the time of punishment is near." Then one day, 3 clouds appeared in the sky, one red, one white, and one black. A voice called from the sky, "O people of Ad, choose one of these clouds." Their leaders laughed and chose the black cloud, saying, "There is water in it, mercy in it." But they did not know that cloud carried not mercy, but destruction. The sky turned black, the wind turned cold. People began dancing and shouting, "Look, the rain has come." But it was not rain, it was a storm of punishment. The first gust came. Dust and stones blew everywhere. With every blast of wind, they felt like their very names were being erased. The second gust came. Trees fell. Animals were thrown into the air. Their idols, their gardens, their city. Everything was scattered in the storm. At night, people held their children tight in their arms, but the storm roared louder than their screams. The third gust lifted people into the air. Their palaces, which once spoke to the sky with their pillars, now dissolved beneath the sand. The storm continued for 7 nights and 8 days. The sky thundered, the earth shook, their palaces, their glory, everything was turned to dust. Allah says that Ad was destroyed by a violent windstorm, which raged for 7 nights and 8 days continuously. When the wind finally stopped, there was silence. Only a sea of sand and fallen bodies, like the hollow trunks of palm trees. But a few people who believed in Prophet Hud were saved. They were given refuge in a mountain cave, and Hud said, "My Lord, you are the most merciful. Keep us firm on the path that leads to you." When Hud stood over the valley, looking at the destroyed city, tears filled his eyes. These were the same people who once said, "Who is stronger than us?" Now, even their traces were scattered in the wind. Hud said, "Arrogance always leads to destruction, and disobedience to Allah brings ruin." Today, beneath the sands of Ahqaf, the city of Iram remains buried, as a witness that honor does not come from power and pride, but only through obedience to God. If you liked this Quranic story, like the video, comment which nation's story you want to subscribe, and don't forget to subscribe. This is not just a story. It is a reality that reminds us, when a person becomes arrogant and establishes injustice, Allah erases them.